What if the greatest mistake most men make in relationships is not that they are too weak, but that they are trying too hard to be liked? Think about that for a moment. For centuries, men have searched for secret formulas to attract women, gain respect, and increase their influence. They read books, they watch videos, they memorize techniques. Yet many still end up frustrated, confused, and wondering why their efforts produce the opposite result. The answer may be simpler than they think. The most influential people in history rarely chased approval. They focused on something far more powerful. They built themselves into individuals whose presence naturally commanded attention. When people hear the name Machiavelli, they often think of manipulation, deception, and ruthless strategy. But beneath the controversy lies a deeper lesson that many overlook. Machiavelli understood something timeless about human nature. People respond less to what you say, and more to what they perceive. This principle applies to politics, leadership, business, friendships, and yes, even attraction. The average man spends enormous energy trying to convince others of his value. The powerful man allows his actions to reveal it naturally. There is a reason. Confidence attracts attention while desperation pushes people away. Confidence communicates abundance. Desperation communicates scarcity. One says, "I know my worth." The other says, "Please validate my worth." And human beings instinctively respond to that difference. Many men unknowingly make themselves too predictable. Every message is answered immediately. Every request is fulfilled instantly. Every opinion is adjusted to avoid conflict. At first, this may seem kind, but over time, something strange happens. People stop respecting what costs nothing. Human psychology has always valued what appears rare, difficult, or meaningful. This is not about playing games. It is about understanding value. A diamond is valuable partly because it is scarce. Time is valuable because it cannot be replaced. Attention is valuable because it is limited. If you treat your own attention as worthless, why would anyone else see it differently? The first principle of personal influence is simple. Protect your attention. Your attention is your life force. Every minute you spend chasing approval is a minute you are not investing in your mission, your growth, your skills, your health, or your future. Power begins when you stop asking, "How do I make people like me?" and start asking, "How do I become someone I genuinely respect?" This shift changes everything, because attraction often grows as a byproduct of purpose. People are naturally drawn toward individuals who are moving somewhere meaningful. A man with direction possesses an invisible advantage. He is not constantly seeking entertainment because he is busy building. He is not obsessed with being chosen because he has chosen a path. He is not dependent on external validation because his identity comes from his mission. Most people underestimate how attractive ambition can be, not because ambition impresses others, because ambition transforms the person who possesses it. Purpose creates confidence, confidence creates calmness, calmness creates presence, and presence creates influence. Consider two men entering a room. The first desperately hopes everyone notices him. The second is focused on his goals and comfortable with himself. Ironically, the second man often attracts more attention. Why? Because neediness creates tension. Confidence creates ease. People feel that difference instantly. Machiavelli understood another important truth. Emotional control is power. Anyone can remain calm when life is easy. The true test comes when emotions are challenged. When someone disagrees with you. When someone ignores you. When someone criticizes you. When expectations are not met. Most people become prisoners of their reactions. Their mood changes every time the outside world changes. A compliment makes them happy. A rejection destroys their confidence. A delay creates anxiety. A criticism creates anger. They are constantly being controlled by circumstances. The powerful individual develops a different relationship with emotion. He feels emotions fully, but he does not surrender leadership to them. He understands that emotional discipline is not weakness, it is strength, because whoever controls your emotions controls your behavior, and whoever controls your behavior Influence is your future. This is why self-mastery has always been more powerful than dominance. You do not need to dominate others when you can lead yourself. You do not need to manipulate people when your character naturally earns respect. You do not need to force attraction when your lifestyle creates it organically. Many men search for techniques, few focus on transformation. Yet transformation is where true influence begins. The strongest presence in any room is often the person who needs the least from everyone else inside it. Not because they are cold, not because they are arrogant, but because they are complete. And completeness is magnetic. As you begin to understand this principle, you realize something surprising. The game was never about controlling others. The real game has always been learning how to control yourself, and that realization changes the entire battlefield. The moment a man stops chasing attention, something unexpected begins to happen. He starts noticing how much of human behavior is driven by perception. Most people believe they make decisions through logic. In reality, emotions often make the decision first, and logic arrives later to justify it. This principle appears everywhere, in politics, in business, in friendships, and especially in attraction. People rarely respond to facts alone. They respond to stories. They respond to emotions. They respond to the image they create in their minds. That is why two men can possess similar talents, similar intelligence, and similar opportunities, yet receive completely different reactions from the world. One appears confident. The other appears uncertain. One communicates value. The other constantly seeks validation. The difference is not always in reality. Often it exists in perception. This is why personal presentation matters, not because appearance is everything, but because appearance creates first impressions, and first impressions influence every interaction that follows. The way you speak, the way you stand, the way you handle pressure, the way you enter a room, the way you maintain eye contact. These details communicate messages before a single word is spoken. Machiavelli understood that influence begins long before persuasion. Influence begins with presence. Presence is difficult to define, but easy to recognize. You have probably met people who seem to fill a room without saying much. They are not necessarily the loudest. They are not necessarily the richest. Yet people naturally pay attention to them. Why? Because they project certainty, and certainty is rare. Most individuals are trapped in endless self-doubt. They constantly wonder what others think. They fear judgment. They fear rejection. They fear failure. As a result, their energy becomes fragmented. Their focus is divided. Their actions become hesitant. But certainty creates clarity. When a person knows who they are and what they stand for, others can feel it. Even those who disagree with them often respect them. Another principle of influence is understanding the power of emotional stability. Modern society often rewards emotional reactions. Outrage gets attention. Drama creates engagement. Conflict generates views, but attention and respect are not the same thing. Many people can attract attention. Few can command respect. Respect is built through consistency. People trust individuals whose behavior remains stable under pressure. Think about leaders throughout history. During moments of crisis, people did not follow those who panicked. They followed those who remained calm. Calmness creates confidence in others. When everyone else is emotional, the calm person appears powerful. This does not mean suppressing emotions. It means managing them. There is a significant difference. Suppression hides emotion. Mastery directs emotion. A man who masters his emotions becomes difficult to manipulate. Insults lose power over him. Provocations lose power over him. Rejection loses power over him. Why? Because his identity is no longer dependent on external approval, and this creates a level of freedom many people never experience. Freedom is one of the most attractive qualities a human being can possess. Not financial freedom alone, psychological freedom, the ability to remain yourself regardless of circumstances, the ability to maintain your principles regardless of pressure, the ability to pursue your mission regardless of distractions. People notice that, even if they cannot explain it. Another misunderstood aspect of influence is mystery. Many people confuse mystery with secrecy. They are not the same thing. Secrecy attempts to hide. Mystery simply refuses to reveal everything at once. The modern world encourages constant exposure. Every thought is posted. Every opinion is shared. Every detail is documented. As a result, genuine mystery has become rare, and rarity attracts curiosity. Curiosity is one of the strongest forces in human psychology. People naturally want to understand what they cannot fully explain. This does not mean playing games. It means developing a rich inner life. A person who has goals, passions, interests, and ambitions beyond social approval becomes naturally intriguing. Why? Because there is always more to discover. Many men make the mistake of placing all their attention on one person. Their hobbies disappear. Their friendships disappear. Their ambitions disappear. Their entire world begins revolving around someone else. At first, this may appear romantic. Eventually, it becomes dangerous. Because when your entire identity depends on another person, you surrender your independence. And independence is essential for healthy attraction. The strongest relationships are not built between two incomplete people searching for rescue. They are built between two complete individuals choosing partnership. This distinction changes everything. Influence grows when people respect your standards, and standards require boundaries. A boundary is not a demand. It is not an ultimatum. It is not an attempt to control another person. A boundary simply defines what behavior you will accept in your life. Many people fear boundaries because they worry others may leave, but the absence of boundaries creates a greater problem. It teaches others that your values are negotiable. The people who respect you most are often the people who know where you stand, because predictability in values creates trust. This is another lesson hidden beneath the surface of power. True influence is not built through intimidation. It is built through credibility. When your words match your actions, when your promises match your behavior, when your principles remain consistent, people begin trusting your character, and trust creates influence that lasts far longer than fear. Fear can force compliance. Trust creates loyalty. One is temporary, the other can endure for years. The most successful individuals understand this difference. They do not spend their lives trying to impress everyone. They focus on becoming exceptional. And exceptional people rarely need to announce their value. Their results speak loudly enough. This brings us to one of the most overlooked truths about attraction and influence. Status is not what you own. Status is how people perceive your ability to create value. A man with confidence, competence, discipline, and purpose can possess tremendous status even without enormous wealth. Meanwhile, a wealthy man lacking self-respect often struggles to maintain genuine admiration, because deep down, people recognize authenticity. Authenticity cannot be purchased. It cannot be faked indefinitely. Eventually, reality exposes performance. That is why personal development remains the most reliable path to influence. Not manipulation, not tricks, not shortcuts. Growth. Every skill you learn increases your confidence. Every challenge you overcome increases your resilience. Every promise you keep strengthens your character. And character is the foundation upon which lasting influence is built. The world is full of people trying to appear powerful. Far fewer are willing to become powerful. The difference is enormous. Appearance may attract attention. Reality earns respect. And respect, unlike attention, does not disappear when the spotlight fades. The men who understand this eventually stop obsessing over how others see them. Instead, they focus on becoming someone worthy of admiration. Ironically, that is often the moment admiration begins arriving naturally. There is a final lesson hidden beneath every discussion about power, influence, attraction, and human psychology. Most people spend their lives trying to control external events. They try to control how others think. They try to control how others feel. They try to control outcomes. They try to control circumstances. And sooner or later, they discover a frustrating reality. The more desperately you attempt to control everything outside yourself, the less control you actually possess. Machiavelli observed human nature with remarkable honesty. He understood that uncertainty is part of life. Fortunes rise and fall. Allies become enemies. Opportunities appear and disappear. Public opinion changes like the wind. Nothing remains stable forever. The individuals who survive these changes are not necessarily the strongest. They are not always the smartest. They are the most adaptable. Adaptability is one of the highest forms of power, because a rigid person breaks under pressure. A flexible person evolves. Think about water. Water does not fight every obstacle. It flows around them, yet over time water can carve through mountains. True influence often works the same way. The strongest people are rarely those who force their will onto everyone around them. The strongest people are those who understand human nature deeply enough to work with reality instead of against it. This principle becomes especially important in relationships. Many men approach attraction as though it were a competition. They believe someone must win and someone must lose, someone must dominate and someone must submit. But healthy influence operates differently. The strongest position is not dominance, it is self-respect. A man with self-respect does not beg for attention. He does not chase validation. He does not sacrifice his identity to gain approval. And because of that, he becomes difficult to manipulate. The irony is fascinating. The less dependent you become on someone's approval, the more attractive your presence often becomes. Not because you are playing a game, but because independence creates strength. Strength creates confidence, and confidence creates freedom. Freedom is magnetic. People are naturally drawn toward individuals who seem comfortable in their own skin, individuals who are not constantly seeking permission to exist, individuals who know their direction and move toward it regardless of obstacles. This is where many misunderstand the concept of mystery. Mystery is not about hiding, it is about depth. A shallow person reveals everything immediately because there is very little beneath the surface. A deep person remains interesting because there are layers to discover: experiences, knowledge, dreams, principles, stories, purpose. The more you invest in building yourself, the more depth you create, and depth creates lasting fascination. This is why personal growth remains one of the most powerful investments any man can make. Every book you read expands your perspective. Every skill you develop increases your value. Every challenge you overcome strengthens your confidence. Every discipline you maintain sharpens your character. People often search for shortcuts to influence. They want techniques, scripts, strategies, magic phrases, but shortcuts rarely produce lasting results, because influence built on performance eventually collapses. Influence built on character endures. Character becomes your reputation when no one is watching, and reputation is one of the most powerful assets a person can possess. People trust consistency, they trust reliability, they trust strength under pressure, they trust individuals whose actions align with their words. This trust creates opportunities that manipulation never can. It creates partnerships, friendships, leadership positions, respect, and genuine admiration. History repeatedly proves this lesson. Leaders who ruled through fear often gained obedience, but leaders who earned respect gained loyalty. Obedience disappears when pressure disappears. Loyalty remains even when circumstances become difficult. The same principle applies to personal relationships. Temporary attraction can be created through excitement, but long-term admiration is built through character. Excitement may open the door. Character determines whether someone stays. This is why emotional discipline matters so much. The average person reacts. The exceptional person responds. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. One is driven by emotion. The other is guided by judgment. Every time you choose a response over a reaction, you strengthen your influence, not over others, over yourself. And self-influence is where all real power begins. Imagine two men facing the same challenge. Both experience rejection. Both experience criticism. Both experience setbacks. The first man becomes bitter. The second becomes better. The first blames circumstances. The second studies them. The first loses confidence. The second gains wisdom. Years later, their lives look completely different. Not because life treated them differently, but because they responded differently. This is the hidden advantage of self-mastery. Life becomes your teacher rather than your enemy. Every setback becomes information. Every failure becomes feedback. Every obstacle becomes training. Over time, this mindset creates a level of resilience that cannot be easily shaken. And resilience is extraordinarily attractive. People admire individuals who remain composed during storms. People trust individuals who maintain direction during chaos. People follow individuals who display courage when circumstances become difficult. This brings us to perhaps the most important lesson of all. Power is not measured by how many people obey you. Power is measured by how little external circumstances control you. Can you remain calm when others panic? Can you maintain confidence when others doubt you? Can you continue moving forward when progress seems slow? Can you stay true to your principles when compromise would be easier? These questions reveal genuine strength, because the ultimate battlefield has never been outside you. It has always been within you. Every day, distractions compete for your attention. Temptations compete for your discipline. Fear competes for your courage. Comfort competes for your ambition. The outcome of these internal battles shapes every external result. Master these battles, and your presence changes, your energy changes, your confidence changes, your relationships change, your future changes. This is the paradox many people never understand. The individual who becomes obsessed with controlling others often loses himself. The individual who masters himself gains influence naturally. People listen to him, respect him, trust him, follow him, not because he demands it, because he embodies qualities they admire. That is a far more durable form of power. It does not depend on manipulation. It does not depend on fear. It does not depend on games. It depends on becoming a person whose character speaks before his words ever do. Perhaps that was the deepest lesson hidden beneath the study of power all along. The greatest victory is not conquering another mind. The greatest victory is conquering your own weaknesses. The greatest influence is not forcing someone to follow you. It is becoming someone worth following, and when that transformation happens, something remarkable occurs. You no longer need to chase respect. You naturally earn it. You no longer need to seek validation. You create your own. You no longer need to force attraction. Your presence begins doing the work for you. Because true power has never been about controlling the world. True power begins the moment you learn to control yourself.